Hello, you're live with Archie Luxury and America's favorite pro bono lawyer, Clive. It's a transgender thing. Clivey.
Well, I think the record shows I'm not nearly as pro boner as you are, but thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to ask this advice because you are a legal eagle. And I just wanted to say, please, anyone listening to the show, any legal advice given in this show is purely for entertainment purposes only. No liability except at gunpoint.
I'm also only licensed in the sovereign state of Oklahoma. Also, if you have a legitimate legal question, you should consult a legal professional in your jurisdiction.
Very quickly, you've seen a lot of people be questioned by the police. What is the best advice you can give to someone who is questioned by the police? If you're questioned, sorry,
keep your. Okay.
You can say that. You can. We don't care about ratings. Say that. Keep your fucking mouth shut.
5 words.
Keep your fucking mouth shut. Is that what you say to clients?
Yeah, absolutely.
If the police,
or I want an attorney.
Yes.
Or in the United States we have the right to invoke a right against self-incriminations. It's the Fifth Amendment. I'd like to invoke my rights in the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. It's like an old man told me very well in business about job interviews.
Yes.
He said, I never saw anyone really talk themselves into a position during an interview, but I saw plenty of people talk themselves out of one. I've never seen anyone talk themselves out of jail. I've seen hundreds talk themselves into it.
I see.
The police are not there to gather exculpatory evidence. They're there to gather incriminating evidence. They're there to build a case against you.
Have you ever heard the police lie in an interview?
Absolutely. The police can lie all they want to. There's nothing.
They can bluff you.
Cases.
They can bluff you.
They can bluff it.
They can do anything, can't they?
Pretty much. That's why the protections about self-incrimination and the right to counsel are so important. Once you invoke those rights, at least in the United States, questioning stops.
I see.
And keep in mind that only applies to in-custody interrogations, to where you are actually in custody. If you're being ticketed, you always ask, am I free to go? Am I free to leave, officer? A lot of times they'll give a ticket and they're trying to for instance, they're trying to stall until they get a drug dog there. In the United States, at least in the United States, a drug dog search on a vehicle on a roadway is not considered a search for purposes of the Fourth Amendment.
I see.
So unless you ask, am I free to leave? I would like to go, officer. And then he says, am I under arrest? Am I free to go? He says, you're not under arrest. Then you say, thank you for the ticket. Have a good day.
And get the hell out of there.
Get the hell out.
I see.
So you have to make sure you are actually, in custody or not free to leave. And
Yes.
Also, it doesn't apply to voluntary statements.
I see.
A lot of people will just start blabbering at the mouth, nervous, upset, or whatever, and make incriminatory statements.
I see. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, Your Honor. What did I do wrong? It's my life.
Well, and the police are there to make a case. A judge or a jurist is supposedly impartial. Usually half the time the cops already have their minds made up going into it.
Yes.
You're talking about television. One of my favorite shows is
Columbo?
No, that's way too old. Discovery ID, Homicide Hunter, Lieutenant Joe Kinda.
Yes.
Love that show. he actually had a scientific background, and he would methodically gather evidence
Yes.
and not jump to a conclusion up front about the facts of the case. There are a lot of times where the show would document the investigation, in this case of a homicide, or usually of a homicide, in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and literally it looked like the facts were pointing in one direction, but he would keep digging and find something that swung it completely in the opposite. Someone who was previously cleared. And actually, the guy's incredible. He actually had a conviction rate of like 95%, and this is before DNA and modern forensics.
And this is from people talking themselves into it.
Or actually gathering evidence.
So
not jumping to conclusions.
The best thing to do is, if they want to interview you, shut your fucking mouth.
No, I mean, absolutely, yes. Don't. They're not there. They're not there. I mean,
but people think they can talk themselves out of it. They can talk their way out of it. They can explain their side of the story, and it'll all be fine.
No, they're there to build a case against you, and it could be. Well, we have one. We're missing a couple of facts. Let's see if we can get him to place himself at the scene of the crime. If you give that information, then that gives them the missing piece.
Keep your fucking mouth shut.
I've never seen anyone talk themselves out of jail. I've seen hundreds talk themselves into the penitentiary.
The other thing is, I don't know if you remember Jake's Rolex page. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
Now that's actually the grandson of great Jake Ehrlich. Jake Ehrlich. Jake Ehrlich was a super. He's the lawyer Perry Mason in the movie on the TV show was based on. Jake Ehrlich, huge drinker. He wrote a book, Never Plead Guilty. Would you agree with that? Never plead guilty?
Let's be honest. Okay, if you ask any attorney, what?
I suppose it depends on the case.
If you ask any attorney any question, the honest answer will always be, it depends.
Yes.
So, if the evidence appears pretty tight, if the state is recommending a softer recommendation, if it's a go home rec, if it's a stay out of trouble, say 5 Hail Marys, pay some court costs, and don't get arrested again for 6 months. Well, you should think long and hard before ignoring something like that.
Oh, these are the offers on the table.
Right. And how it works in my jurisdiction is the easy recs go away once you actually make them do the work and prove their case.
Yeah.
Now, if you didn't do it, under no circumstances should you plead guilty.
Yes. Clyde, let's wrap this up. So, one piece of parting advice for today. One piece of parting advice. If questioned by the police, if they want to do an interview, what should you say?
I wish to invoke my right against self-incrimination. I'd like to have an attorney. Am I under arrest? Officer, am I free to go?
And keep your fucking mouth shut. Don't even talk about the weather.
In summation, yes.
Clyde, that advice there will save a few people. And if it saves you down the track, please donate to the Archie Luxury channel. Please donate. If that advice saves one critter out there, it'll be worth it. So, Clyde, thank you. This has been Friday Night with Clive, and we'll have another show on next week.
Are you going to have any more with just Suckerhorn on? I love those.
Yeah, look, I like to have him on there. I got to get him in the right mood. He's a bit of a cantankerous guy, but we'll get him on there. I got to get him in the right mood. He'll come on.
Oh, that's all right. I just love watching the ones with you two.
No worries. Thank you so much. See you next week. And don't agree to any police interviews in the meantime.
I want my attorney. I'd like an attorney. I don't want to.
You have absolutely no comment to make whatsoever. Keep your fucking mouth shut. See you later, Clyde. Clive!
And again, this is for entertainment purposes only. Nothing should be construed as legal advice. If you have any legitimate legal questions, please consult a legal professional or attorney in your area or your jurisdiction.